Hey there, everybody. This weekend I had the opportunity to play in a Paper 2K event, which was really fun, and I managed to get another top 8, which now makes 4 top 8s that I have in 1K or bigger events, which is really cool. I'm happy to be building a decent resume now in Lorcana, which is pretty sweet. But I figured I'd go through the deck and play some games for you with the list that I used to make top 8. It is not that unique for Ruby Amethyst deck, so I don't want to spend too much time going through it. But I'll start with the 1-drops. I chose to play 5 1/3s and 3 copies of Rafiki. Rafiki is good for getting through things that have, obviously, 3 willpower, like Simba Bodyguard, Kita Bodyguard, and also in the mirror getting through the various meta mims. That said, the 1/3s do hold damage from a Teeth and Ambitions better, so that is why I opted for 5 of those and 3 Rafikis. I played 4 Cuscos, and this is primarily because it pairs really well with Merlin Crab, which I'm playing 3 copies of, as well as the Maui's Fishhook. And I found that a lot of the games I lose were because I wasn't playing to the board fast enough, and so I just wanted to max out on 8 1-drops and 8 2-drops to prevent that from happening. Obviously, 4 Snake Mim, 4 Fox Mim, no surprise there, to go with the various Merlins in the deck. I think that none of these are that surprising. Merlin Crab has just gotten a lot better in this format. With the prevalence of locations, you just need ways to deal large chunks of damage quickly, and Merlin Crab does that really well. But it also lets you trade up with your 1/3s and your Cuscos, which is great. I chose to play 3 copies of Maleficent. This is just so that I can power through my deck better. I was finding that on occasion without the Maleficent 3-drops that I would run into situations where I would empty my hand and I wouldn't have the draw power to push myself through the mid game, and just a few more copies of Card the Cantrip has done a lot to help with that. I'm playing 3 copies of Jim Hawkins. Jim, obviously very powerful with the Queen's Castle, although I do want to give a caveat that sometimes Jim is a trap. I think, like in the mirror, Jim tends to be quite bad, and oftentimes you'll play Jim, your opponent will play Maui, take out your location, and now you sort of spent 2 cards to get a mediocre 4/4/2 lure body in play. So in the mirror, I think you should ink it against any deck that, is likely to be able to remove it likely to remove the location the very first turn you play Jim plus location. You should probably just be inking him and the location instead of getting yourself sort of suckered into a bad play. 4 copies of Maui Hero to All, just a very good card. Takes out locations, takes out characters, massive body. Not too much to be said about Maui. I mean, he's inkable if you don't need him. Just an absolutely all-around solid card. One of Ruby's best cards, and even better now in this format than he was in last format thanks to locations. I played 3 copies of Madame Medusa. I do think Madame Medusa is better than Lady Tremaine in the current format. The fact that this hits 3 power characters is just really strong against the steel decks. Being able to take out Beast Tragic Hero as well as Shift Robin Hood is very powerful, but almost every deck has some decent target for Madame Medusa. That said, if the Jafar wheel deck starts to become more popular, I might add a copy of Dragonfire or 2 into this deck, just to make sure that you're not getting hosed by the 4/5 body that doesn't get hit by Madame Medusa. I am playing 1 copy of Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, just a little bit more top end, but he's inkable if you get him too early, and yeah, just gives you some extra big stuff against the wheel decks, which I found sometimes is useful. I would like to play more copies, but it's just hard to fit everything you want into a deck. Maybe I'd shave a copy of Jim Hawkins for something like an Exert Pinocchio to go with my last-ditch effort, or another Maleficent Dragon. It's hard to say. Last-ditch effort. Now, this is my anti-Ursula 3-drop tech. I know a lot of people are playing the Exert Pinocchio. My only problem with Exert Pinocchio is that on the draw, you only have, if you play 4 Rafiki, which most of those versions are, and I would also recommend playing 4 Rafiki if you play the Exert Pinocchio, but if you have Exert Pinocchio on the draw, you only have 4 total characters that can take out Ursula on the draw in combination with it, and that just isn't enough for me. So given that for me, this slot is specifically primarily there to take out the 2/3 3-drop Ursula, I want Last Ditch Effort, which will pair with any of your 1 or 2 drops to take out Ursula on the draw. And I chose to only play 1 copy just because I don't want this clogging up my hand too often. I'd played 2 for a while, but every time I drew 2, it was so bad that I just I couldn't stomach it anymore. And 3 copies of Teeth and Ambitions just to slow down aggro starts. 4 friends on the other side, 4 be prepared, no surprise there. 4 Queen's Castle. It's just the best location in the game right now. It is, you know, high risk, high reward. If you want to tap with it, it is amazing. If they remove it immediately, it's bad, but I think it's worth the risk, and you can ink it if you think it's going to be bad. And 1 copy of Maui's Fishhook, which is sort of the new tech in Ruby Amethyst that has been going around, and I was hesitant to play it at first, but I think it just does a few jobs really well, and it's worth at least 1 or 2 slots in your deck at this point. The ability to increase power, right, to give Challenger +3 is great at removing locations. It's great at letting your 1-drops and 2-drops trade up. And the ability to give Evasive is sort of sneaky good, because it lets you remove, you know, the 4-drop Tinkerbell, lets you remove Blue Fairy, lets you take out Jafar, which is otherwise actually quite difficult for this deck. So yeah, just an all-around good tech card, and I would recommend giving it a try if you have not. But yeah, so that's the deck. I'll hop into some games, and let's see how it does. Okay, on the draw, in the mirror. These mirrors can definitely get pretty grindy. Going second is bad, but it's not as bad as it used to be in the last format. Definitely don't want the late game stuff. I'll keep a Fishhook and the card draw. I would love to get a 1 or 2 drop. Alright, and we do, so this should be good. I'll be inking Jim Hawkins pretty promptly. It's not very good in the mirror, just because it's such a high-risk play. Like, you play this, and then if your opponent plays a Maui to remove the Queen's Castle, you're in a worse spot than you were before you played it, so it's a very, very high-risk card in the mirror. It can be useful in the ultra late game, but we're nowhere near that, so easy ink for now. Okay, Rafiki. They ink a Fishhook. Balance Rafiki, no problem. So, interestingly enough, the Fishhook tends to be pretty good in the mirror. So and I only have 1 in my deck, so I'm going to ink my Maleficent so that I can play Cusco, then Fishhook. Plus, I like to have Fishhook in play for when I play the Maui. Lets me get value. Can help me remove minis a turn earlier if I need to. Doesn't look like that's going to be a problem this game, but some games it certainly can be. If the other person is playing the Surfer Mini. Alright. Ink Rafiki here. And then one nice thing about Fishhook, right, is that it kind of makes them leave their 3/3s back, because they're really going to quest a 3/3 when I can pump a Cusco and attack them at a Mim. And then the nice thing is that I don't actually have to spend the ink to do it, because they didn't give me the option. So just the threat of activating Fishhook tends to be strong. Alright, I guess they don't care. But against a lot of people, they will not make that quest. That said, I'm certainly not going to do it this turn, in part because I can do it for free next turn if they give me that opportunity. Okay, so they play Jim Hawkins. And we may see what I was talking about earlier, where the fact that I have a Maui means this is just not going to be very good for them. I can ink Snake Mim, play Maui, challenge Queen's Castle, finish off the Queen's Castle, then choose the pump ability on my Merlin, which is free because I have a Maui, and remove their Merlin. And it's like, I ate the Queen's Castle for free. I have an undamaged Maui in play that I can use to activate my Fishhook. My opponent's actually just worse off having played this Jim Hawkins than if they had just not played it. We do lose our rabbit, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. Life goes on. Sort of the nature of being on the draw. Okay, they choose to give us the rabbit back. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that play, but I'll take it. For the record there, it's not going to matter here. I should have sung that with Maui, not my rabbit. It's Cost me 1 lore. Ultimately, it wouldn't make a difference because I drew the second friends, but I didn't know that was going to happen. All right, let's give Evasive to our Cusco. Quest. And our opponent can be prepared here, but it's not really a good be prepared. That doesn't bother me at all. Okay, they are playing Surfer Minis. Good to know. And they quest with Jim. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is take out Jim Hawkins with my Cusco. And this is why Fishhook is so good. Letting that trade happen is just crazy, crazy good for us. Quest here. Bounce. Draw a card. Sure. Quest play Cusco. And pass. I will say we're a little exposed to a Queen's Castle right now. One nice thing is to hold a Maui and or Foxmim in your hand so you can remove a Queen's Castle if one comes down. We've drawn a lot of cards and have not drawn a large number of Foxes and Mauis, unfortunately. So I think removing the rabbit while I have an opportunity is good so they can't protect it. Then probably Ink Teeth. Give Evasive to my Cusco, and then Quest. I'm expecting that at some point they're going to have to play Be Prepared. This would not be a horrible spot for them to do so. But I would like it to be sooner rather than later so they can't follow up with like Jim Hawkins' location. That's kind of the scariest thing that can happen if you can get to 12 ink is like the best spot for Jim is Be Prepared into Jim into Queen's Castle because it can be really, really hard to catch up after that. Okay, and it does look like a Be Prepared here, but they shouldn't be able to follow up with much more than a Cusco. And we're behind on lore, but we should be up on tempo and cards. So, not one game by any means, but certainly a fine spot to be. I don't want to ink any of my inkables because the Queen's Castle is actually pretty good here. Okay. Well, I have to ink something. I'm going to ink one Queen's Castle, and then I'm going to play one and put my rabbit there. Now, they're probably going to Maui this down, which is fine. Yep. That's kind of why it sucks, but if they hadn't had the Maui there, that would have been probably lights out. Probably could have checked to see that they haven't used any, but it's a sort of situation where it's worth the risk. Now we, of course, get to do the same to them. Then I'll quest and pick up my rabbit. Have a Be Prepared. I don't think this Rafiki is going to matter too much. We've got a bunch of card draw in hand, and I just want more ink. If my opponent wants to keep their Maui around, they have the option of giving my Maui Evasive. It's kind of a cute play. I don't know that it matters much, but if they're afraid of like a Queen's Castle, it's certainly a thing they could do. Mostly I'm hoping they don't have another rabbit. Okay, Lady Tremaine Not that scary to me. I wonder if their hand is like Lady Tremaine's, Madame Medusa's, and Be Prepared's mostly. Ooh, another Queen's Castle. Well, I'm not going to be able to remove it immediately. That said, they won't draw any cards off of it, which is nice. Technically should lead on Rabbit here, but I don't think there's a draw in the deck that changes anything. Maleficent is just worse than these rabbits, so I'll pass. I do need to get this off the board as soon as possible. Opponents in the tank. It is a tough spot for them for sure. They're way behind in cards. They have a good lore advantage, but yeah, that's not going to get there. And they just concede. All right. Not a bad one. All right, on the draw versus Purple Steel. Don't necessarily know what kind of Purple Steel deck they are right away, but a good curve with some card draw should do well, and that looks to be what we have here. I will keep Teeth and Ambitions for Blue Fairy, potentially. A Maui. It's a little bit speculative to keep at this point, so I'll ship it, but the rest of the hand actually looks pretty good. Nice 1, 2, 3, 4 curve with an answer for Blue Fairy. And because I am potentially worried about a Blue Fairy, I will play the Minnie Mouse first. Okay, so jig is up. They are the Jafar wheel deck. And there is the aforementioned Blue Fairy. And I'm not messing around. I'm just going to shoot it down right away. Could get greedy and try to sing Teeth and Ambitions, but no thanks. I'll just make sure I get it off the board before they're able to draw any cards with it. And they do shift. And they may just wheel here. Yep, well, I'm glad I used the Teeth and Ambitions. This hand is significantly worse than the hand we just gave up, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't really know what to do. I think I'm going to ink Maleficent because it's so far away. Then play one Cusco, but I'm going to hold the Rafiki as ink. Yeah, opponent had a crazy draw here of Robin Hood into Blue Fairy into Shift Robin Hood wheel on the play. So be a nice one to win. Don't know how likely it is, but it would be a nice one. All right, just hold and hopefully we get to keep our hand until Be Prepared. Not sure how likely that is, but it would be very nice. Maui might do some work here. Queen's Castle might also end up being good if we can find a spot to get it in play. Oh my goodness. Another wheel. It's one of the craziest starts I've ever seen by this deck. Alright. I will draw. Even if they have the wheel. Wow. Wow. Well. What can you do? Ink Rafiki play Maui. If we get to keep our Maui, that would be something. They have no more wheels, though, so at least we have that going for us. And I'm happy if they want to just eat my rabbit with Merlin. I kind of want to bait them to making sure this is tapped so that I can fish hook it down next turn. Yeah, unfortunate. What a crazy start. Well, they have no more wheels, so Fishhook plus Teeth can remove Jafar. I'm gonna play Medusa, shooting Blue Fairy, with the idea that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I could remove Jafar next turn with Fishhook plus Teeth and Ambitions. My god. This is, I'll just say, this is amongst the most broken lucky starts I've ever seen any player ever have in Lorcana. It's actually crazy. We're still in it, but I mean, we had a good hand too. All right. Same deal. They have no more wheels, so I don't see any reason to try and like empty your hand or anything. Oh. What do you do? Mm-hmm. All right, we can get the Jafar off. That was a good draw for sure. Give our Maui evasive, remove Jafar. So at least we have that off the board. But, whew, we've had to be lucky just to be even in this game. Tinkerbell probably removes this. Mm-hmm. Why not? Start by drawing a card. We have to take out the Yzma. The Blue Fairy can die to Fishhook at any time. So I think I might need the cards. So I'm going to ink Crab Merlin. I'm not sure whether I should ink Friends or Crab Merlin here, but this at least stops the card draw. Mm-hmm. 17? Yep. Kind of hope they play like another beast or something. Okay. Beatable. It's not good for me, but it's beatable. Okay, that might be too much. Because that can be shifted onto... All right, first things first. Do that. All right, yeah, I do think Be Prepared is the best option here. Stops the card draw. At least resets the board temporarily, prevents them getting any more lore. Jafar. I can remove Jafar. Tinkerbell. I'm gonna play Medusa plus Rabbit. So I'm gonna start on Rabbit to draw first. See what I want to ink. I'm gonna ink Maleficent. And play Madame Medusa. It's an interesting question about what to remove. And I'm gonna pick the Jafar just because it's the better card. But obviously they can shift onto either. And it's kind of devastating either way. Right, because shifting on Tinkerbell gets them to 19 lore, but shifting on Jafar could easily get them to 20. Alright, but they have no shift. Just raw playing the stuff. Okay. So if they have any card draw and we leave the Jafar in play, we lose. I don't think I can stomach those odds. That just seems so unlikely that they have 0 card draw. So I think I have to find my last Be Prepared. I believe I have one more, right? Yep. Okay. Well, makes the decisions easy. And that should be it, because now I don't have enough ink to play it. All right. We lost. About nothing we could have done about it. But it's a good game, I guess. We stayed in, frankly, very long for how crazy that start was. All right, up against Ruby Sapphire. Ooh, Saviz. All right. Should be a fun one. We get to go first. No one drop, unfortunately. I'm going to ship this stuff. I'm going to keep a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a Fox. I'd love to get a 1-drop, but we don't necessarily need one. All right, fine enough hand, I think. Shouldn't need teeth. Inks a Flaversham. Plays Popsicle. Yep, sounds about right. Need to find a rabbit, I think. It's going to be a tough one. Locations might be pretty good here. They do have Maui, but... Okay, there's a rabbit, which is nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to need the goat. It's a little early for the goat. Fishhook. It's probably not a good fishhook matchup. Could have its spots, though. But likely to be inked. They want a Queen of Hearts, no problem. Alright, so there's the fishbone. Which means B-Prep could come at any time now. It's alright, we'll have a bunch of characters that get value, so it won't be a huge loss if it does. More worried about the inevitable Flaversham that buries us in cards. Okay, let's sing this while we can. Play Merlin. Ooh, I would love a location to go with that. Especially post Be Prepared. Alright, there's the Flaversham. Not surprising at all. And a 1-drop. Alright, do they ink with Fishbone? Well, I haven't been Be Prepared, so it's going to be important at this point to protect the rabbit. I have to pick up the rabbit next turn, in my opinion, so that I don't lose it. Because it's going to be key to keeping up in cards here. Not a bad one. Well, let's quest. And then how do I want to pick up this rabbit? And I think I want to pick it up with a fox so that I have the option of playing it and picking it back up with the snake next turn if they still don't be prepared. And as far as ink, Maui can come in handy, but I think it's going to be the fishhook. It's just not that important. They don't have evasives we need to remove. They don't have a ton of things that we need to go up in power to remove. Yeah, and a Be Prepared's not super great for them here. Having a Popsicle is annoying. I can Madame Medusa next turn, but I don't necessarily want to do that. I'll probably just challenge this down. It's a pretty awkward board for them to be prepared. I'd be surprised if they did that. Yeah, Jim. Okay. That's annoying. McDuck Manor. Okay. I get it. I get it. We definitely want to remove the McDuck Manor. Because if they get to be prepared with that in play, that's going to be a problem. Going down to 2 cards. Wow. I'm trying to decide what my best play is here. I have a lot of ways I can remove that McDuck Manor. I think... Maui... So mediocre. Okay. Chosen a line. I don't know for sure what the best thing to do is. It's annoying that they get to keep this Flaversham for sure. It's my last bounce effect. Okay, I've got a lot of cards. I'm actually gonna ink the friends here so that I can play this. Okay, second Maui is kind of nice. So they don't get the draw. They're down to 3 cards. They're going to draw up to 5. Definitely have a big ink advantage, though. 2 popsicles down. Curious to see what kind of late game they have. If they have, like, Tamatoas. If they have... Okay, well, that's definitely something. Three cards in hand. Definitely want to get the Flaversham off the board. It still has a lot of potential to draw cards with any item. The question is what I do it with. I could be prepared. Now that I have a second one, I'm actually a lot more likely to do that. The question is what I ink. If they play... If I be prepared and they play Jim, how bad is that? If they like play Jim McDuck Manor, I can't remove the McDuck Manor. Man, I want to play my own Jim so bad too. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ink my Jim just because I'm shy on inkables and don't have a lot of other options. As much as I'd love to keep it, I have tons of card advantage. I don't think I need a middling card at this point. So I'm going to do damage, put some damage on Maui, put it back in my hand. I think Maui's really good to have in your hand against a deck like this. And if I can ever get to a point where I'm not afraid to be prepared. My issue is, like, I fall so far behind if I be prepared here and they play Jim Hawkins into location. It's a tricky spot for sure. Mm-hmm. And they're not playing a lot of stuff that I can take out with Meta Medusa that I care about, which is annoying because it just sits in my hand awkwardly. Okay. 2 cards in hand for them. I mean, now's not the time to put a location in play, that's for sure. So we can ink Jim, I think. And now I'm going to be prepared. Now they're down to 2 cards. I don't know how likely it is that it's location plus Jim, but even if it is, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, just 1 location is not at all a problem for me. I'm going to put my own in play here, since they have no good way of answering it. Okay. It's an annoying one for sure. I can take RLS Legacy out, though. Yeah, I'm going to lose my Queen's Castle. That's okay. I like this. Then, do I care to have this in play? Honestly, yeah, the lore kind of matters now. And I may as well move it here. Kind of forces them to trade with, or to take out the Queen's Castle. Tamatoa. That was such a good draw. But okay. What do they have in the bin? 2 Flavershoms. They inked 1 Flaversham. So there's only 1 Flaversham left in their deck. Start by drawing a card here. I really don't want to Maui down a Maleficent. I'm not going to be prepared, just those 2. I'm going to get some value at least before I be prepared. Yeah. Let's draw some cards, and then maybe I can be prepared next turn if things start getting out of hand. Then I can follow up with like a rabbit or something. You go to 13. $14. 15. Okay. Not a fan of that, that's for sure. Man, that Tamatoa was such a good draw. When we got him down to 2 cards, I thought we were sitting pretty good, but that Tamatoa has gotten so much value already. Wish I had a Crab Merlin right about now. Yet another Maui. Well, maybe I use my Mauis here. I don't need 3 of them, right? In theory. 2 is kind of nice because they can take out a location. Alright. Let's do 6, 2. See what I draw. Okay, that's not horrible. I'm going to draw another card. Can't play that. Shouldn't need Maleficent. Could need a bunch of ink. Then let's do this. Go up to 11 lore. We've got board control back. This is not the matchup for Madame Medusa I am seeing. Okay, well, it hits that at least, thank God. Okay, now things are looking up, I think. Pass. We've got all these rush threats that can take out locations as well. I mean, my opponent's hand must be prepared and RLS legacies, right? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Or McDuck Manors. That's okay. No fear of the McDuck Manor at all. Not a single fear. It's gonna ink this. Yeah, it's fine. I was thinking potentially keeping it so I could Foxman, but I don't think I need to do that. 21 cards left in deck. There's the other Be Prepared. But we've got a location now doing work. Yeah, and they're just completely gassed out, and we have plenty of gas left to go, so this game should be ours at this point, I would think. Yeah, that's the power of Merlin Rabbit. Just absolutely buries people. I've got so much removal here that I would be shocked if they found a way to win this. Okay, I mean, they get the location. It's not bad, that's for sure. Do have another one, though. Alright, and no need to waste the threat to move anything there, because if they manage to remove this, I should be able to quest for the win. And if they don't, it's going to win on its own without more cards anyway. Alright, and we get there. Not bad. Alright, I'm recording this outro and post the next day, but yeah, I think that Ruby Amethyst Control is still a very good deck. I don't think it's a dominant deck like it was in the previous two formats. I think it's just one of a number of very, very good options you have right now. And overall, I think that this format is shaping up to be one of the most interesting formats we've had so far in Lorcana. I know the first two formats got stale really quickly. I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time around, but I guess we have yet to see. As far as the Ruby Amethyst control deck, as you can see, these games can get really grindy and really long, so not for the faint of heart if you don't like settling in for a long match, but if you do, I think it's a good choice. It's nice and fun, has a good matchup spread. As far as changes, Exert Pinocchio, certainly an option. There's room for more inkables for sure. One or two Jim Hawkins could easily be cut, I think. Some people are trying Maui Whale in these decks now, which is a little bit crazy, but apparently it's been good for people, especially at removing things like McDuck Manor and other locations. Yeah, I don't know. That's the deck. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.